Very much for joining us for today's webinar. We're going to be going through a variety of different topics, but mainly covering around how you can gain value from ISO certification. Please, if you do have any questions, please feel free to pop them into the chat window and we will try and get to them at the end of the presentation. I don't think this is going to take the full hour. I don't believe in death by PowerPoint, but hopefully we'll be able to give you 10-15 minutes of your time back at the end, but please drop any questions into the chat window and we will cover them off. So once again, thank you to everyone taking time out of your day to join us for this webinar. We've got quite a busy agenda. I'm going to cover off a couple of slides on what are actual ISO standards. I don't want to make the assumption that everybody knows what ISO standards are, so I'm just going to cover a little bit around that. Then we'll be talking around the sort of challenges that businesses are facing in today's world. Why are ISOs therefore important and why can they help organisations? Then what I'm going to do is drill down into the details around the value you can gain from each of the ISOs. I'm only going to cover the main ones. Obviously, as a business, we can provide ISO consultancy around, obviously, what we're going to be talking about today, the quality, environmental, information data security, etc. But we also cover a whole host of other ones, such as medical devices, laboratory equipment. So if you don't see your particular ISO that you're interested in, please feel free to again reach out to me at the end. Then I want to talk about how we've helped organisations achieve ISO certification and our sort of simple approach and how we work, and then just sort of Q&A and sort of summary and any potential next steps. So once again, thanks for joining and let's begin. So what are ISOs? You know, the way I think of them, it's really a formula that describes the best way of doing something. Now, there are nearly 24,000 international standards that have been developed by ISO, and they cover everything from even down to the types of screw thread you have on a wine bottle. And, you know, I race motorcycles, so it covers, ISOs cover everything from the brakes, the wheels, fuel, controls, all my safety equipment. So they're very, very important to me. It's a true global standard. It's adopted by 165 countries, and there's nearly 800 separate technical committees that help develop the ISO standards. And it's all about ensuring that businesses' quality, safety, and efficiency of their products, services, and systems. So that's really what ISO standards are. Obviously, we're not going to cover all nearly 24,000 of them today, but we're going to focus around some of the key ones that are affecting our industry at the moment and can give definite value and benefits to organisations. So what are the challenges that businesses are facing today? It's really about needing to adapt and flourish in the marketplace that we're in. You know, how does an organisation enhance their reputation? But equally as important, how do they prove it? You know, how do they get more customers? How do they win more business? How do they stay ahead of their competition? How do they differentiate themselves? You know, if you in that lucky market of you're growing your business, your market share, it needs to be done in a controlled manner. You don't want spiraling growth that is not in a controlled way that enables you to grow with confidence that you can meet your customers, your suppliers' demands in the marketplace. And obviously all the compliances are out there. You know, the variety of different compliances that are effective for each business, whether that be having compliance around technology or health and safety or the environment, you know, whatever is important to you. But how do you meet these and how do you maintain them? And one of the, I think, really important aspects is how do you provide that assurances to everybody, your customers, your suppliers, your partners, your investors, and your staff? And how do businesses do that? You know, this has become a challenge for a lot of organizations to stay competitive, to be able to enable them to adapt and flourish in the marketplace. ISO does, it really addresses those challenges. It enables you to enhance your reputation, but not based on your previous history, but based on your current performance. It enables you to really maintain a competitive edge, to be effective in the business, to be able to compete in the market, whether that's competing in a global market because it's an internationally recognized standard, or whether that's competing in a local market. I'll talk around some of the stats and figures around winning more business, around the sort of general financial benefits of an ISO, and have the ability to be paid more. But what I've seen with some of the customers that we've worked with is they've told us that they wouldn't even been invited to the table to bid on a particular piece of business if they wouldn't have had ISO. They wouldn't have even known about it. So it's about winning more business, but also being paid more. It's also about meeting the legal, statutory, regulatory, or contractual compliance. Some of your customers may mandate that you must have certain standards within your organization, whether that be for quality, whether that be for health and safety or the environment, or if you're processing a lot of information or data around information and data security. And like I said previously, it's about providing those assurances to stakeholders and clients and employees in the marketplace. So it's about proving, adapting and flourishing. It's about being able to compete in a market, whether that be a local market or a global market, and giving assurances. What I'd like to do now is just go through a sort of couple of areas around sort of financial benefits and then the operational benefits. From a financial point of view, profit margins have seemed to be higher for organizations that have these required standards, and the 13% more business on average. It will give you a very quick return on the investment of spending and the time, money, and effort that it would take to adopt an ISO standard. Obviously, ISO standards help you improve the quality, that measured way of doing something. Also improves how you actually develop as a business. And it helps you control the costs and reduce the costs within your organization. And then the efficiencies it brings in helps you to reduce the overheads, whether that be the overheads of time or materials or how you operate as a business, but it will also help you do that. So it's about both above and below the line benefits for an organization from a financial point of view. Obviously, people want to grow their businesses, but grow it in a controlled way. You know, an ISO standard will help you stand out for your competitors. It will help you win more valuable customers. But it's an absolutely fantastic marketing tool, whether you use it publicizing on your website or whether you're using it. But it also helps you in terms of the growth, control the way you actually do things, to make sure you're doing it in an efficient manner, to make sure you're driving the maximum amount of efficiencies, that the processes are streamlined for your business and the way you operate. Helps you bring in that better management control, give you better performance as an organization, but ultimately saving time, money, and making sure those other resources are utilized efficiently inside your business. And what the feedback we're receiving is that the motivation internally is directly affected by having an ISO standard in place. In simple terms, people know what their role is, what they need to do, and what you do as a business. They know the processes, they know how they operate, they know how you onboard a new customer, onboard a new supplier, deliver a project. Because it's documented, there are processes around that are driving better efficiencies into the business, enabling you to grow, but do it in a controlled manner, making sure that you maximize the value that you actually get from your business and when you're taking on new clients and customers, or just improving the efficiency of how you do business at the moment. What I'd like to do now is just drill down into each of the ISOs. Obviously, like I said earlier, not the whole sort of 24,000 or 28,000 of them, whatever it is, but to drill down into the key ones that we're seeing organizations are coming to us to help them achieve. The first one is obviously 9001. This is one of the key ISOs for organization. Enables you to make sure that you can consistently deliver the products and services, brings in efficiencies into the business. Obviously, it's helping around savings and also help improve the way you operate. It improves the market potential, what we say, domestically and internationally. A lot of organizations are looking to buy from organizations that have proven standards in place, that they have proven processes and a working methodology to make sure that when they're delivering services and or products to them, that they're doing it in an efficient and a quality way. It can also help you demonstrate external credentials to organizations. If you're filling in requests for proposals, requests for tenders, etc., being able to state that you're an ISO 9001 company helps dramatically reduce that. And it shows that you are a quality company. So ISO 9001 is really one of the sort of bedrocks of the ISO standards that we're providing consultancy for, that enables organizations to prove that they are a quality company, to deliver products faster, better, to meet their clients' expectations and also their clients' requirements. And it's about that ongoing savings, efficiency, and improvements within the business. The next one is probably one of the, I say it's one of the key ISOs that we combine with ISO 9001, is the environmental one. It's really about proving your green credentials. It's obviously there are numerous savings within it around tax, energy, insurance bills, can also lower your environmental liability, but it also demonstrates your credentials and commitment to the environment to your customers and suppliers, and will also help improve the corporate image. You know, being green in today's world is very, very important. We've all seen the news headlines with global warming and the effects that that can have, but proving to the market, your customers, your business partners, your investors, that you take the environment seriously and that you are a green company will really help the corporate image. And it also helps win new business, increasing sales opportunities, because you've got proven credentials into the environmental marketplace. So really, ISO, the main benefits here is proving your sort of green credentials, the savings that are associated with tax, etc., and improving the way you operate as a company and improving your corporate image. So ISO 14001 is probably the second or third most widely deployed ISO standard that we provide, and it's certainly showing a lot of benefits and value to the customers that are adopting that particular standard. Now, ISO 27001, I'm seeing a large uptake in it, especially around sort of IT organizations. And it's really about proving that you can protect both your data and your customers' information and data. But it's about protecting it, but it's also identifying what are the areas of loss. And ISO 27001 really helps you identify what your risks are as a business and what the potential impact to you could be. Obviously, it's going to reduce delays in delivering products or services because you don't have the downtime. But one of the key areas that we're seeing, it helps your staff know what their responsibilities are when it comes to how they manage, process, interact, and share with information and data for your organization. Now, ISO 27001 is not purely about IT. Now, IT makes up about 37% of the controls within ISO 27001. It's really around all information within your organization, whether that be printed information, whether that be electronic information, customer data, intellectual property. And it shows the organizations that you work with that you have a duty of care for their information that they're sharing with you. Also enables you to set up different preventative actions, such as who can have access to data, when and why, and for what reason. Obviously, it's around protecting data and intellectual property, but it also helps put in a framework around other legal compliances, you know, such as PCI DSS, GDPR, etc. So it's the value to you as an organization. It will protect it will first of all protect the data, it will identify it, and help you meet the compliances. And it's really giving that assurances again to the marketplace and the stakeholders for your businesses that you take their information and data security seriously and that it's protected at all costs. Now, health and safety is really key for organizations doing anything that is public facing. Obviously, it helps with things like the reduced risk of prosecution, but the overall cost of incidents are also reduced. It can reduce downtime and disruption to organization because the processes around occupational health and safety are defined and people know how to be a safety conscious employee within the organization. Also helps reduce absences in employee over turnover rate because people aren't off because of injuries, etc. Helps you respond to legal and compliance requirements from your customers, that you are an ISO 45001 internationally recognized standard, and that you can then help in terms of faster return requests for proposals and requests for quotations, etc. But ultimately, what it is protecting the employees and the business as well. So it helps you reduce your risk, helps you speed up the processes and reduce the cost of disruption, and protects both you as a business, but ultimately your employees against health and safety incidents. Now, all businesses need to understand the impact of business continuity and what a disaster can actually happen to an organization, whether that be from a minor incident, the loss of maybe a laptop, through to a major, can't get access into the building, we've lost our entire building. It's about building in business continuity management and disaster recovery, about minimizing the risk that an organization faces, but also it's helping you understand what your business vulnerabilities are, but then to develop processes and procedures in place to make sure you have effective business continuity. Obviously, from a DR point of view, it's helping with the rehearsal of the framework to get full disaster recovery. But it gives businesses the assurances that both your business can continue after a disaster, whether that's a small disaster or a large disaster, which is ultimately helping you protect your business, your staff, your reputation in the marketplace. But again, I keep going back to stakeholders. It's about giving them absolute confidence in your reliability as an organization to still be there, no matter what type of disaster or incident would affect you, whether that's a minor incident or a major disaster. It also opens up businesses to new global markets. Being an internationally recognized standard, it helps in portraying you as an organization that is a safe pair of hands. And it's really about being able to continue to be in business if there is an actual disaster. So the values around ISO 22301 is really making sure you can continue after a disaster, whether it's a minor incident or a major. Make sure you've got a framework in place around business continuity and disaster recovery, and to minimize the risk both to your organization, but also to your customers and your stakeholders as well. Now, ISO 20000 is really around service management for managed services organizations. And it gives you the ability to demonstrate to your customers that you have a very reliable and high quality service. Helps you get the performance of the infrastructure you're providing these services from to its optimum, but also enables you to cut costs. Public sector now are starting to look at organizations that are ISO 20000 certified because they're looking for extra assurances for an organization when dealing with large public sector bids and large public sector contracts. And it's basically, I suppose, it's letting your customers know that their service levels that you will achieve will be able to be delivered from the IT infrastructure that you've got in place, because you can measure and evaluate each one of those service levels, the processes and the practices that you do. But it's really about building a firm framework to strengthen the management controls in place to manage the IT and the service management that you provide to your organizations. And obviously there's lots of different IT governance around GDPR, which IT service management helps with as well. The thing I often get asked around ISO when we provided consultancy and services into organizations is, can I do this and then forget about it, almost treating it like a tick box exercise? And it's really not that. If you're looking for an ISO for a tick box exercise to just win a new contract, you won't get the maximum value out of it. It's about helping organizations always be improving, for that continual improvement within inside their organization. Now, whether that's the quality, the safety, the efficiency of the products and services that they provide, or just helping them around the processes for having a proper systematic approach that aligns with how you want to grow your business or develop your business. And it's about bringing those processes in, but continually monitoring them and continually improving them to drive more efficiencies into the organization. And it's really the organizations that get the most value out of ISO are the ones that have a proactive approach to how they actually work as an organization, to really take to heart the ISO standards and the framework that we can help you build to enable you to get the maximum value out of it. And the last point probably on this is continual improvement. It really proving that you as an organization operate under the most effective and ethical circumstances. But my main sort of takeaway from this particular element is if you're looking for ISO for a tick box exercise, you won't get the maximum value out of it. If you're looking to take on board what ISO can deliver in terms of the improvements in efficiencies to help you adopt better processes, to reduce costs, to win more business, to improve efficiencies, that's when you'll get the maximum value out of ISO consultancy and ISO certifications. So what I'd like to do now is just talk a little bit about how we work with organizations in helping them achieve ISO standards. Now, we have a very simple 5-step approach. Our pricing model is fixed fee. It's regardless of how complex you work as an organization or how long it takes. We provide a fixed fee that enables an organization, one, to be able to budget for it so they can calculate the return on investment through the value of increased business, higher billing rates, etc. that I covered before, but enables you to know that from the start of the project to the end of the project, there'll be no further costs. We're also very flexible. You know, we fit around your businesses. What we don't want to do is impact the way you operate. You know, you run your businesses, you have particular processes that are very unique to your business. We're not going to come in and tell you you can't operate in that way. What we're going to do is we're going to help you build a framework around it to achieve the required ISO standard, but making sure it fits around your business. All of our assessors, and we've got about 60 assessors out there on a variety of different projects at the moment, are assigned and dedicated to you as an organization. Each of our assessors are what they call IRCA qualified, which basically means they're at the same standard as the independent auditing of the standard that you would have from a third-party company that would come in and audit you and actually issue you with the standard and say you are now an ISO 27001 or 9001 organization. What we do is we help you build the framework, and it's simply looking to improve the way you currently work and map it into the frameworks of ISO. But it's about providing the full implementation. We're not here just to say, here's a checklist, go away and do it. Go and write a lot of processes up. Here's a procedure. This is how you do it. It's the full implementation. And what we want to do as an organization is make sure that your entire journey getting towards the ISO certification that is best for your business, that can deliver you the most value, is as simple and easy, as trouble-free as possible. The way we do that is a very, very simple 5-step process. I like 5s for some reason. And it's, again, as I said earlier, it's about the minimum impact to your business. We start off with a gap analysis. We'll look at your current processes and procedures and where you are now and what the framework for the particular ISO standards you requires. And that's called our sort of gap analysis. So we'll spend sort of half a day with you going through the gap analysis, seeing where the gaps are within the framework. What we'll do then is we'll then go away and we'll develop all the manuals, the processes, the procedures. We deal with a variety of different organizations ranging from literally one-man bands all the way up to large global organizations. And some people's state of readiness is far more advanced than others. Some organizations almost have things written on the back of a cigarette packet, where other organizations, if we talk around 27001, might already have Cyber Essentials Plus, and ISO 27001 is a natural evolution and enhancement of those standards, have a lot of the processes and procedures already in place. Now, we've just done quite a large IT organization where we've helped them get ISO 27001, and that was I think about 200-man company, and they have gone through the ISO certification with us at the moment, and it's taking about 7 weeks to help them get to that. They had a lot of the information in place. We still had to provide a few processes and procedures for them to help them adopt it, but doing the gap analysis and then us developing those manuals helped it deliver it very, very quickly. What we do then is we come back and re-present them to you after we've developed all the manuals. And the reason we do that is your business could have evolved in those 2-3 months or 7 weeks or however long it takes us to go from the gap analysis to developing the manuals. And we want to make sure that the processes that are all documented now and the procedures that we've actually developed with you are now fit for purpose. So A new type of model could have been introduced, a new way of working with customers could have been introduced. So we want to make sure it maps into it. Then what we do is we work with you to help you adopt the standard and then put you forward for certification. Now, there are a couple of avenues for certification, both independently. You can use a UCAS certification organization, such as I typically use a company called URS, but there's many variety of different UCAS certification companies on the market, BSI, lots of other ones as well. Or you can use an independent certification through, we use an organization called QAS, who provide that ISO certification. Now, I get asked quite a lot by different customers, what is the difference between UCAS and independent? And I suppose it's, what are the requirements of your customers? If your customers are asking you, you must be UCAS certified, then UCAS is the way to go for you. If you're dealing with government bodies and a lot of other areas like that, UCAS is probably a great idea to go that way. But if it's an organization that wants the ISO standard, the benefits and the value that it would get, an independent through QAS is perfectly adequate. But all the work that we do, all the manuals, the processes and the procedures will work for both UCAS and independent. You know, we don't do a lesser piece of work if it's an independent, and we don't put more effort in if it's UCAS. All of our work is to a standard that will meet UCAS certification or independent. And then after the certification, then it's issued, and then you can start to work with it. We also can help you with that process around providing copywriters to help with press releases, case studies, provide you with artwork, put on the website, etc., help you with marketing it. So there's a lot of other services that we provide on top of that included that helps organizations do this and get the maximum value out of the ISO certification. But like I mentioned a couple of slides ago, it's not about sending you a lot of blank forms in that sort of DIY model. We do all the heavy lifting because we know it's important for you to run and maintain and focus on your business. We'll obviously give you full advice and guidance through our consultants around how we implement and how we provide you with the certification process, whether it's independent or UCAS. As I said, we do that assessment of your existing management systems. You know, you may have ad hoc systems already, but they don't necessarily meet the ISO standard. So it's assessing those, looking at that gap analysis I mentioned before and mapping it in. But then we'll build the whole bespoke compliant management system for you, write everything up, and then produce and supply the manuals to you and the relevant documents. What we also do, because I said earlier, if it's a tick box exercise, you won't get the maximum value. We also train an internal auditor instruction to enable somebody within inside your organization to keep the manuals, the processes and procedures up to date. So that when you come for the 12-month anniversary, 24-month anniversary, that you go through and re-achieve or get recertified for the particular standard that you've adopted. That's a really sort of key role. Some of the smaller organizations might not have dedicated teams or dedicated people to do that we could train in terms of and give them the auditor instructions to keep everything up to date. So we do also provide additional services around that where we can act as your internal auditor, coming in monthly, quarterly, half yearly. So to support you on that, if you don't have the people within inside your organization that could be that internal auditor. We can also give you the ability to combine ISO standards. You may already have ISO 9001, but are interested in maybe adding environmental onto it, or health and safety, or information and data security, or whichever ISO it be. We can help you combine those into a single management, help you achieve the new ISO that you want to take on, but at the same time, build it all into a single management system. This then enables you to reduce your management costs on running the two separate independent systems, help speed up the auditing time for your 12 and 24-month recertifications, etc., and offers extra value into an organization to streamline how it works. And it's really the reason we do all the heavy lifting. We want you to focus on what you do best, running your business, as I said at the top of the slide. So I suppose, in summary, it doesn't matter what size organization you are, whether you're a one-man band, two-man band, or whether you're a very, very large company. Every business can gain value from an ISO that's applicable to their market space. But what you need to do is shout about it from the rooftops. You know, your stakeholders will have high expectations of you, but you should also have high expectations of your supply chain and the way they actually work. What you want to do is show them that you've got the required standards in place, whether it's for quality, information, data security, but also ask them to return the favor. And like I said, any business, any size, any industry, any organization can gain significant value from ISO. And I suppose to end, when things don't work as they should, it often means that standards aren't present, that the processes and procedures aren't inside an organization to make sure that onboarding new customers goes smoothly, that service levels are met, that impact to the environment is minimized, that information and data is not lost within an organization. So when things don't work like they should, it is really that standards aren't present. Now we have 4 potential next steps. If you require further information, if you want references, data sheets, case studies, further information around each individual standard, I'll be sending out this slide deck, which has my full contact details to everybody anyway. So feel free to drop me an email and I can send you whatever you actually require. What we can also do is just arrange a quick sort of 1-hour session where I can go through the benefits for you in your particular industry or your particular ISO standard that you're actually looking for, and give you a benefits review and show you what the return on investment would be and what value you would gain for you individually as a business. If you want to know the sort of costing models, we don't hide our pricing. It's a fixed price proposal, and I can provide that and full costings of how we actually deliver the service. All of our fixed pricing is also done in milestones, so it's split into 1/3 payments as you adopt the ISO standard. So there's a third when you sign an agreement, a third after the gap analysis, and a third when we present you the manuals, getting ready for certification, which helps with cash flow and managing budgets, etc. We're also running a couple of more webinars. Again, you can go onto ccsrisk.com, webinar-registration. We've got one on the 23rd, so 2 weeks today, which is all around our risk management platform, which is helping organizations identify which of their third-party suppliers are likely to be susceptible to a ransomware attack. And then if you're an IT company and you're interested in providing ISO consultancy into your organization, we're also running a webinar on the 7th of September on how you can potentially resell ISO consultancy through us into your customers to drive this value into your client base. So they're the sort of next steps. So I'd just like to say thank you very much for all those people that have joined us. Really appreciate your time. And if there are any questions, I'll just flip screen to see if there are any questions. Let's have a quick look. I think somebody's just typing some questions in now. So just bear with us a second and we'll come to the questions. Yeah, so obviously if there are any questions, feel free to email me separately. Like I said, my contact details are on there, steve.s@ccsrisk.com. We will send out a copy of this recording and we'll also send out a copy of the slide decks. Feel free to share those with anybody inside your organization, and any further information you require, please just drop me a note and let me know what it is. So I think Julian is just typing. Great, thanks a lot. Perfect. So I'd just like to say thank you again for joining us, and I'll end the webinar now. And again, thank you very much.